When that moment of that high stakes moment comes in, play, surrender, faith. Oh, yummy.
It's like see it, hear it, understand it, love it.
And just to
Love it.
recreate that curiosity that makes you want to go poke a bug with a stick.
Or a flashlight or the sun in a magnifying glass. That's horrible.
Yeah. Just
Or
to
like prying open your parents' eyes to see if they're really sleeping. You're like, are you asleep?
What if you lived your life unworried about what other people think about you? In this episode of That's a Great Point, what started as a catch-up conversation between friends sharing what we're up to in the world quickly turned into a deep philosophical discussion about becoming a better human. In this episode, we cover being comfortable leaning into discomfort, anxiety as a misuse of the imagination and some tools to cope, imposter syndrome and doing things that scare us, people-pleasing, abandonment wounds, and the fear of being seen, the benefits of play as an adult, what we can learn from Bob Ross and Mr. Rodgers, and much more. We had lots of laughs in this episode, and we know you'll enjoy listening to it as much as we enjoyed recording it. As always, if you find our content helpful, please share it with somebody you love. Thanks for playing along. Enjoy. Welcome to That's a Great Point, the attitude adjustment for your soul, where co-hosts Elena Doran, Michelle Albers, and Lee Smart discuss deep topics around a life well lived. Let's start the show.
I mean, tell the guitar player to go and sit out until we're done, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
Bring
like
the
the
cards,
band.
bring the guitar table, blah, 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 blah. Bring the guitar player to the table. Just leave the guitar behind for now. I want the whole personality. Like that part's good. Just, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, Tanya had me change my lyrics to the new song. I started off with, "What the fuck have I gotten myself into this time?" And now I have to leave off the fuck. It's not as fun that way, but it actually does work better. So Tanya's right, and I don't want her to be right.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one, right? That sounds like the names of two new songs. Tanya's right, and I don't want to leave fuck off.
I love that.
Two songs right there.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I had to fill the space, so it's now just, what have I gotten myself into this time? So,
Works.
Yeah, it's working out pretty good.
Nice. I like it.
Righteous. All right, now that I've serenaded you, what are we talking about? Things and stuff and whatnot and what have yous?
Yeah, this is the day that we're catching up, like recording a friend catch up, basically, because we've been trains, planes, automobiles. We've been all over. I've been everywhere. We've been all over, and Lee can probably do that better with the voice. But we've been all over, and we've not caught up. We've been doing a lot of stuff. We've been up to a lot. Each of us. And this feels like a good time to pause and share with each other what we've been up to.
Mm-hmm.
And cheer each other on, man.
We have been booking it in our own individual ways and not as a group. So it's there's definitely kind of a like, hey, what's up going on in your world? Because I see on social media you're doing all kinds of cool shit, but I haven't heard about it yet.
Yeah, this is the space that we made for each other to share and support.
Sweet. All right. Who's going first? I'm doing things.
Well,
You're doing things.
you seem ready.
Oh, do I?
You do.
I'm faking it.
Well, Alina, I feel like Alina was in a role there and then like paused, which is fine. Pause is great, right? But I
Oh.
feel like Alina has like you're ready to rip it out.
What is it?
All the things you've been doing. You've had a lot of really big stuff on your
Oh, to share.
like I don't even know how to say it because I don't want to make it seem like I was gonna say agenda or schedule, but it's more than that. Like in your being, you've had a lot of stuff that's been really great. I want to hear about it.
Yeah. Before you get started, how's my hair?
Beauteous.
You're like
I have
that is
this
the
weird
first.
part. Like my part is going zigzaggy, and it's just a cowlick that I forgot to manage this morning.
That is the first agenda item. Is let's talk about Lee's routine, her hair. How do you make the magic happen?
I actually love that we're starting here. Let's go. Ready? Go.
Yeah. I really, legitimately, Lee, please. We can get into what you're doing, but first and foremost,
Step one.
how does the magic happen? Let's hear it.
Oh, large amounts of sweat.
And
Louisiana.
humidity, right?
Yeah.
It's thick. I mean, we don't have any fog right now, but when you walk outside in the morning, it's hazy.
Oh.
Afternoon too. It's so humid and hot. It's hazy. It's like, I don't know. Have you ever stepped into a steam room and then had your breath just taken away? It takes you a little while to start to be able to breathe.
Yes.
That's what it's like. It's
Every day.
freaking insane. Every day. Yeah, it's been exceptional lately too. And I'm working on my shop, putting a front wall on it right now. So it's so freaking hot. My shop's made out of metal, and I was up near the roof and I put my back up against the roof and it burned me. It was so fucking hot.
Oh,
That's
is this the
crazy.
dome, like the half dome that you're going to have an office in?
That's kind of the potential plan. Yeah. I don't know. The logistics of running all my internet and power out there are going to be pretty tough. So I may change that plan, but,
It's a
yeah.
great space.
Anyway, now that we've built suspense,
Yeah.
go ahead, Aline.
Yeah. Lots of sweat. Well, we've been talking for a long time about like layers of identity peeling off. I've talked about like my journey of having spent my whole adult life up until just a few years ago, right, working in like constrictive, structured environments, right, where I'm working full time for someone else according to their rules, and there's rules of engagement, and this is how I speak, and this is how I'm presenting, and don't be inappropriate, don't say these things, we don't talk about those topics, and
AKA selling your soul.
Well, it's interesting. I will say, I some of it can be selling your soul, but some of it is really when you're operating in an environment with so many groups of people who come from so many different contexts, and they have different agenda, different perspectives. You need to take that into account, and so we can't just walk in and say exactly what is right now. Emergent, that's more of a small business environment where you move much quicker. You don't have, red tape. You can just go. You just have a meeting, say what you really think, let's go. Or that's the way it can be. Much more room for that. Harder to do that in an organization that has 30,000 employees and different regions where people communicate differently. Language means different things. All of that is to say, I've been learning and relearning and unlearning for a few years now of where does that construct end and where do I begin? Where am I in it? And like, so kind of deciphering where the layers of identity are that are authentic to me. And then where am I playing it safe? Where I no longer want to, where I no longer need to. So the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I've been basically doing a roadshow of my business that I represent. So there's a lot of identity that's tied into my business and the values that I hold that become very visible to the world. And the way that I choose to say it in a way that I would not have felt as comfortable to say it before. And I feel much more comfortable to say now. So it's an evolution. I'm not done. I will continue to, of course, evolve for the rest of my life, hopefully. But that's been it. There's been a lot of that process work to sort of have parts of me take a seat and have parts of me that were not really me go outside and play, and let me play and let me come in. So the last 6 weeks I've done a bunch. You guys have seen some of it online where I've been speaking on stages. It's been, there's been a lot of visibility. So going to large conferences, large gatherings, and speaking publicly. I went to an amazing conference. I went to an incredible summit that is just so special. I did a guest lecture at UC Berkeley Haas Business School. And
what were the name of those conferences?
So one was the Innovate Summit, and that took place in Owensboro, Kentucky. One was the American Hotel and Lodging Association. It was called Forward, is the name of that conference, and it's about 1,000 leaders in the hospitality industry. And then last week I spoke at New York Tech Week, which is a whirlwind of events that have folks from different industries. This one was incredible. It was run by a VC firm that helps connect founders, investors, and operators, and it creates possibility access for folks who normally would have a really harder time getting that access. So really working on inclusiveness, and folks who may not have a voice would have a voice, and folks who may not have been able to get secure funding have a much better chance to secure funding. And that's a mission that is pretty amazing. It's special. So they definitely put their money where their mouth is, their money where their money where their values are. So it was great to be part of that. And there I ran an executive coaching group session. And it was cool because I didn't know who was going to come into my session or how many people, like who they are, how many, saw the space 10 minutes before. It was great. We just played and we talked, and it was awesome. It was, the Innovate Summit in Kentucky was innovators from around the world, different industries. We had someone who is inventing space elevators. We had somebody who was a Harlem Globetrotter. We've had global, a coach that coaches around gratitude. As part of the Go Giver, if you know the book called The Go Giver Way.
Yeah, phenomenal book.
She teaches, she works with Bob, who, authored the book, and she goes around the world and teaches gratitude. I mean, where would we be in the world if we don't have gratitude? So really, just a collection of humans through these past 6 weeks who want more different, expanded, more aligned, more value, more authentic. Last week was a lot of the conversation was around AI and what does it mean and what could we expect? What are the trends? What does it sound like? Where we're going? Really incredible conversation. So to be part of that, to have all of that dislodging, to get all of this unstuck and being in new environments and speaking as me for my company has been incredible, right? Where the ideas and the frameworks interact with real people and their real lives and their very varied context was thrilling. And so from those conversations, there's just so much potential that's in play right now in developing what's next.
So my curiosity is, how does our audience benefit from what you've managed to learn, what you've managed to experience?
I have a lot to say, and I'm going to be saying it, and I'll be letting that out. I'm still processing. There's so much. So much. I think a lesson, one of the many, many lessons that come right now, it's a great question, and I love that, is if you don't make yourself uncomfortable, you're missing out on so much of life. So go get uncomfortable, go take risks
Mm-hmm.
within reason, within some level of comfort, within alignment, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But don't play it safe.
Yeah.
That's one immediate takeaway.
Yeah, there's a great diagram on this concept of there's an inner circle. Inside that circle is comfort. And just outside that circle is a slightly larger one, and that's discomfort, but there's also growth. And then you go to the next circle out, and that's the panic zone. Right. So to stretch too far can throw you off into a full-on survival, I'm not okay, I'm panicking area. So it's just try to stay somewhere in the discomfort zone, and that allows so much growth.
So much growth. And I love that you're talking about like those zones. It's, when it feels exciting, because exciting and nervous feel very similar in our bodies. So when you feel a little bit like maybe your stomach's turning a little bit, and if it's going way too far, you'll know it. It's too far. You don't need to do that. Something else, one of the new things that I did is I participated in a session with an organization called the Landmark Forum, which has been doing personal development for decades. And in the session, they talk about what we know, which is like a small slice, what we know we don't know, and then majority of the space is filled with what we don't know that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of exploring the world, we don't know sometimes to ask the questions because we don't know where we even are. We're in a space of exploration and opportunity. And to be open to not knowing, and to be open to being suspended and not being displaced a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That there's that discomfort of you don't know what's coming next. You don't have the script. You don't need your cue cards. You can just go and have faith that what you have right now is enough. But you know enough. You don't need more. You just need to be here. And you go.
Yeah.
And the universe has guided me and told me that in a bunch of different experiences. Every time I go in front of the public, something weird happens. Weird. Like something happens that reminds me that it's not about me. It's about me being a conduit in service of others. So I'll give you an example. It's uncanny. Every single time something happens. I have helped 2 strangers in 2 unrelated incidents in their panic attack. 2.
Yeah, I remember the first story.
Those are 3 more.
Again, huh?
3 more. 2 more
really?
people. Yeah. Wait, there's more. It's crazy. There's a person, people who were having a panic attack, and one named it a panic attack. The other one, it sure looked like one. Helped them with that. There was someone who had an incident at the airport, thought she lost her luggage, thought she was going to miss her flight, and was panicked. So that's not a panic attack. That's just a person who's really worried about not meeting her family in time. And it was a really important family reunion. And I helped her get grounded and find the people to go to, and helped her get on, helped to carry her bags because she was dropping them because she was so nervous. Was about to forget one of her bags. Every time things happen that have nothing to do with what I'm about to do, that remind me that it is not about me.
Got some soul points happening. I tell you what I'm curious about from what you just said was when you help somebody that's going through a panic attack, what does that look like?
First is acknowledging them. And I am not a therapist, right? I don't treat people who chronically get panic attacks.
Right,
I was just...
And you still helped.
I did. And one of the people I helped happens to be a therapist who said that she's embarrassed that she's having a panic attack in public. And I said, you're just human. I was like, did you think that you don't get to have these things because you're a therapist? No, you get to have these things. I'm like, you get to lose your shit and you get to have panic attacks. I'm like, okay. So the first thing is I'm sitting next to her and I hear her breathing. I see her, like her leg is shaking. Okay. Her leg is shaking. I'm not thinking anything of it. It keeps escalating. So the first thing I did was, and I was kind of stumbling into how to help. I don't know how to help with a panic attack specifically. Like I didn't Google it. But I turned to her and I just kind of went with intuition. And I said, I'm here and I would love to help. Can I help? I see you. And she's like, I think I can't breathe. And I asked her, would cold water help? She's like, yes. I was like, great. She had a little cold water. She's still breathing really hard. And then I started asking her questions to disorient her. I was like, oh, what's blue in this room? She's like, what? As she's holding onto her chest, her neck, she's like, what? I was like, what's blue in the room? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what is blue? Let's look at blue. And she starts like looking around at what's blue. And I'm like, what smells weird? And I just started asking her unrelated questions. And then I asked her like what color she usually gets for pedicures. And then she started speaking and she stopped like grasping her neck, still really nervous, still like in between, but toned it down a little bit, right? Went a little bit calmer, able to breathe a little bit better. And then I looked at her and I said, it seems like someone really wronged you and you're really scared. And she's like, she looks at me and like, yes, my boss switched my model from salaried to pay per patient. And I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet this summer because it turns out that she's a therapist for children with eating disorders. And those children tend to be away for the summer because school is not in session. So she's going to lose most of her patients for the summer and she will have nothing, no money coming in. So she was having a panic attack from the prospect of not making money. And that's what we uncovered in the conversation. And by the end of that conversation, she left feeling filled with possibility that maybe this awful, unethical, terrible thing that was done to her might be something that she looks back on and talks about, that's the thing that pushed her to do the thing that she would never even thought of doing. And so she just gave me a bunch of hugs. She followed me outside, gave me a hug. And she's like, I'm just thankful. I was like, great, good stuff. So that was like a gift.
Yeah.
Selfishly, her panic attack was a gift to me because I got to feel so good about myself.
Right. Yeah, we actually talked about this just a little bit last week with DTK, dealing with that swirl of negative thoughts. And, it's so easy to get fixated on one thought and to come back to your senses now, what's actually here with you right now. Smells, sounds, sights, everything gets you more present with what's going on in the moment rather than being hyper fixated on all the different possible realities that may happen in the future. That's one of the huge things with anxiety is like, it's what Steve Chandler says, it's a misuse of the imagination. Our imagination can run wild and we have all these trains of thought that run through our head and we can either jump on them and let them take us away, or we could choose to watch them pass by. And getting present with our breath, getting present with what's here right now can actually allow these trains to pass by rather than us hopping on them and getting carried away. So, yeah, it's fucking beautiful.
Oh, that's been the theme. I'll say one more thing. I want to hear about you guys. That's been the theme of these 6 weeks. And this is what I've been talking to clients about. It's been showing up over and over and over. And it's part of what I talk about in public is you have to go inward first, always. Inward and then outward. Inward and then outward. What's here for you? Where are you? How are you coming into the conversation? How are you walking in with what preconceived notions, with elevated heart rate, with headache, with a checklist in the back of your head? What's here? Get yourself grounded and centered, and then connect with others, because then you have space. But it's being present over and over. I love that. Michelle, you were going to say something,
Well,
please.
I was just going to say what so many people ask what grounding is or how to ground. And what you described, the questions you were asking that woman to bring her to the present moment, that is a grounding practice. And so it's like asking, find 5 blue things in the room, or name
Mhm.
3 smells you can smell right now. Anything that brings you into the present moment is a grounding practice, and I just think you just demonstrated it so beautifully. And so many people go, I don't know what that means. It's like that's what it means, bringing yourself into the present moment so that you are here now, not anywhere else. You're grounded into now.
I wish I'd have known these things 8 years ago, 9 years ago, whenever I was having panic. It's English, I'll get it. Panic attacks whenever I was running my mechanic shop. Because I had gone through similar things, and whew, it ain't nice.
No. Who wants to go next and talk about what they're up to?
Go, Lee. Go, Lee.
I'm looking at you, Michelle.
Oh, you want me to go? What I have been up to, or what I'm going to be up to?
Everything.
Yeah. So this is going to sound like a weird place to start, but in 2023, I restructured my business. And between then and now, because I was scattered. I was in lanes. I was in this lane and that lane and this lane and that lane. And it just felt like I was depleted all the time. And it was confusing on how to show up because I was finding myself having to block the rest of me to show up in just this lane. And so I was like, no more. This is not working. So I blended it all together and integrated, and now it's all under the umbrella of choose yourself. That is me. And for a while there, I say I was throwing spaghetti at a wall, but I really think I was dancing with what it looks like to be integrated and how that works within my business, right? So, like, from a business perspective, I've been toying with just how to do that in a way that feels right. And it's not that it ever felt wrong when I changed it. It was just more like that was a really big change. And my current clients were like, wait, you're not doing that anymore? I'm like, well, I am, but differently, you know? And so it was just a interesting journey. And I feel like I'm, recently in the last, since the beginning of this year, maybe even, I don't know, I'd have to think about really when I'm showing up from that place of integration and like, how do I want to show up? And then that comes out in all the things versus how do I make this thing fit me? It's like, well, I'm not making anything fit me. I am just showing up as me. So it's a different energy, and I feel just more grounded and centered into who I am, what I do, how I offer it, and what I'm here for. Like, my purpose feels the most clear it's ever been, and that's been amazing. And one of the trickiest, most recent pieces that came from that, and it's like, I'm wearing my Hope Kids shirt. You can't see it, but it's an organization that works with kids who have childhood illness, not necessarily cancer, but that's how it came to me. When my nephew had cancer, they just were phenomenal for the families. They offer a lot of really great services and just things for them to do for free that they can get out of what they're in and into just some fun. And I've had handfuls of friends that have had cancer, and I've always wanted to do something in my business where I offer something at a discount, but not free, because it's not sustainable for me to offer that free, but then it feels dirty to be like, hey, let me coach you through your cancer journey. Like, I just never liked how that felt. And I recently had a friend who, like, well, I don't want to say too much. Has cancer. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to, her story. And I just was like, it's time for me to figure out how to do this. And I talked to my marketing genius friend, and I just said, is there a way for me to offer it at a really discounted rate? Like, I'm talking like a third of my rate to meet with me, so that there's still an energetic exchange, but so that, because this is a skill that I know that I have, because I've had clients that I don't know come to me for this too. And there's just a way that I can hold space for it that feels aligned. And she wrote up this beautiful page, and of exactly, like, I just spoke to her from my heart, and she put it all on the page, and I was like, well, it's there now. And I feel good about it being there now versus feeling dirty about, like, hey, here's your darkest time perhaps, and I want to get in on that. It's like, that's not what this is. This is about, like, healing and support and knowing that, like, if they're meant to find me, they will, and to do the work. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it was a very much a turmoil for me for a really long time. And she dropped me into this place of You're just living your truth in your heart. So that's my newest thing that I was struggling with and chewing on and didn't know how to deliver. But I think it came because I was in that place of how do I show up and what does that look like in all of me? So that's my most recent thing in a business perspective. In a personal perspective, I've been traveling and also it's the year anniversary of my mom's, well, 4-year anniversary of my mom's passing. And then normally I go up and help my dad with a fish fry, and I was sick, so I couldn't go, and my boys were there and I wasn't. And so there was a whole lot of emotional turmoil there for myself. But I held space like a rock star for myself and I leaned in. And so I feel good about that too. I don't know. It's very strange. But it was hard. It was just hard. It was hard and messy. And I just let it evolve and asked myself what I needed in the moments and leaned into that. Not required. I requested that my boys send me pictures and just so I could at least be a little bit part of it, like, look, drop in and have fun and do your thing. I know it's about you guys too. And also I'm really struggling. And if you could just send me even 3 pictures of the party, it would make me feel good. And they did. And it was just amazing. So yeah.
So I'm trying to pull out of there what's really useful for our audience. And I tell you what I took out of it was how often we try to make things happen. Like we get this preconceived idea that we're going to make things happen the way we think they should happen, rather than showing up as the best version of ourselves and playing with what shows up and then making the best of whatever is right in front of us and capitalizing on an opportunity that presents itself rather than, I'm going to force something into existence. That force thing, I tried that for years and years and it works, but it's exhausting.
Well, it's depleting and it's not sustainable. And that has been my
Right.
question with myself and my clients for just recently. It's been coming up. And I'm like, well, this is coming up for a reason. I just think people are forgetting how to plug in general. And it's like, we need that reminder to just like, what actually nurtures you? Because I think when we get into that panic place, you were talking about those rings, Lee, it's like we get to a place where everything is just a Band-Aid because we need a quick fix and it doesn't actually nurture or support us. So it's not actually a plug in and replenish. It's a freaking, it just gives us just enough time to get to the next Band-Aid. And it's an exhausting life.
It's all delay. It's
Yeah.
all delay. I'm curious from the travels, you talk about integration, Michelle, and that's the word that stands out for me listening to your share from the personal travels, from the personal hardships, and from the integration professionally. What is a learning or a relearning for you in all of this?
Gosh. Well, the travel wasn't all sunshine and daisies and roses for me. I was full blown in a trigger before we even left. And so I knew it was going to be personal and fun. And I knew it was going to be healing journey, find my pockets. And I think I invited myself to take those spaces. Like I had 2 full-blown emotional releases at the front of the boat, not caring what was happening behind me or if anybody came to sit with me or not. I just was like, this is happening. I'm not going to block it or stop it. So I think maybe it's inviting myself to do the things that nurture me, which is sometimes full-blown tears, sobbing uncontrollably. That doesn't make sense, in a space that also doesn't really make sense. But I think that's like I put my pride away. I don't give a shit who sees me snotty and sad at the front of the boat. Like I don't care. And I think I used to care because I wanted people to think I was okay and I was good and I was fun and I was, all the things. And I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care. This is where I'm at right now and you're gonna get me. And you don't have to be with me in those moments if you don't want to be. That's okay. But I think so it's like inviting myself to honor me first, which sounds selfish and people get upset by that sometimes. But inviting myself to honor me first is something that I have done on the regular for a while now. And it feels good and it changes everything.
It's sounds so simple. And
It's
it's so
not.
difficult.
It's so not.
I mean, I think the brilliance lies in simplicity. And so the way
Sure.
you say it, and it sounds like, oh yeah, it's 1, 2, 3. I mean, it took you like 3 seconds to say it, so it's got to be easy, right?
Yeah.
But it's what you said. It is so simple, and it sounds like a no-brainer. Figure out what you need in the moment, and give yourself that.
Mhm.
And it sounds like the easiest thing. And oh boy, what conditions have to be true to do that for ourselves?
This might sound horrible. And I'm not sure I even truly believe it yet, but it came in. So I feel like it's something for us to chew on if we choose to. I feel like those things that are really soul aligned, that really feed your soul, are the hardest things until they're not. But like to take the step and lean into them, it's the hardest thing. For me to cry on a yoga mat in a class full of people, for me to cry at the front of a boat in a, full of friends and family. Like I never would have done that before. But now that I have, I'm just like, look, I'm not looking to make a scene in a room full of people that are having their own experiences and like taking that away from them. But also, if I can do this in a way that honors and aligns with all of my integrity and serves my soul, I'm fucking in.
Mhm.
Right. You're
Yeah,
not
we
doing
can't.
it to prove something. You're
Yeah.
not like, this is me. I'm going to flip tables. I'm going to be dramatic.
Yeah.
Lee, you were going to say.
Yeah. What came to me was it's impossible to, I think not impossible, but it's significantly more difficult to fill somebody else's vessel if yours is empty.
Yeah.
So there's that, and that the whole need to look a certain way is based in survival. Those were things that are left over from the human race had to work a whole lot harder for survival in just centuries ago. Not even centuries ago, just last century. It was significantly more difficult to survive than it is now. So we're learning that we're actually okay whenever we show weakness. Whenever say weakness, I don't mean weakness. But
Vulnerability.
it's when we show vulnerability, right? Whenever we actually allow ourselves to be as we are in a crowd, we don't need to be seen as. We don't need to wear these masks because we're going to be okay. Nobody's going to come and vote us off the island and make sure that we're expelled from the community. Which, in past days, if you were expelled from the community, that meant death, or even worse than death, right? So, and it's not the truth anymore. We're actually so much better off as a society now that it makes it much easier to be as we are and to not worry about that survival as much, because that's what most of this is just a survival trait. It's I need to be tough and so I can continue to survive.
Well, and
It's
I
the-
think for me, one of the hardest things along my journey when I decided to get vulnerable, right? When I decided to drop in and see myself and then be myself, the most terrifying thing is like, well, what if I show up as me versus
Mm.
tucking into all these boxes? What if I show up integrated as who I am and then nobody likes me? you know, like there's that there. I mean, and every single human that I work with in healing, when there's a point you get to where you're like, oh, fuck, I'm owning my life and I'm taking accountability and there's no more scapegoats. Now I just am. I don't know how the world is going to receive that. And if you have any abandonment wounds, neglect wounds, I mean, there's a
Yeah, there you
million
go.
wounds. It's fucking scary.
Right.
And
Yep.
it is. And I just over time have realized the people that I was tucking into boxes for that I actually wasn't for, all they did was suck the life out of me. Like it
Mm.
wasn't a happy life. So for a happy, joyful life for me to show up as me is the best thing I
Hmm.
can do for that because I have created space. And by that, I mean either chosen to move away from or been moved away from many people. But then new people drop
Hmm.
in where
Mm.
there's an ease there and there's an acceptance there and there's a love and a deep connection there that isn't me trying so hard to tuck in and is just me
Hmm.
going, take it or leave it.
Hmm.
I got you. I got a big old heart. And if you want a piece of it, I'm there if it
Yeah.
aligns. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't, fuck right off. And I don't mean that flippantly, like I'm wishing you harm. I just mean we're not meant to be, and that's okay.
And there's so much there, what you just said. Oh, God, yes. Like when you're yourself, what if they're the fears that people have to
God.
confront as they're meeting themselves? So much of the work, it's interesting, the three of us do, we operate in it looks different, it sounds different, but it's all about the same essence. It's the same through line of coming back to yourself every time, right? Whether it's like men's work, whether it's healing work, whether it's like executive work, it's all coming back to ourselves. It's all humans coming back to themselves.
Tell you what you had me thinking about was how whenever we're children and we are protectors, the people that we rely on for survival don't allow us to be as we are. Like we're not allowed to toughen in my case, like toughen up, boy, suck it up.
Yeah.
And then not being allowed means that my provider, the one that's responsible for taking care of me, is then going to reject me, and then I will be on my own, and I'm completely helpless as a child. So that there's that, and then there's all the abandonment wounds that I have of how much I was on my own. So now it's like, yeah, don't really feel okay. Never really have.
Yeah.
Because I've always been fighting for survival.
Yeah.
And that right there, that sense of powerlessness to have any control over what happened to me, created a need for me to continue to become better and better and better, right? That's what my brain went to, is like, oh, I'll never allow this to happen again. I'm going to become such a great human being that I'll be superhuman, and then I'll never have to experience this shit again.
Right.
And so all those defenses, all those walls were put up, and then that created barriers in relationships. It created barriers to having a peaceful life. It created barriers, and I didn't have freedom of choice because I was running on autopilot, and just ended up in a really nasty place because I ran myself nearly into the grave because I need to be better. I need more. I need more. I need more.
Well, and you didn't have a definition of how much is enough. Like, what is enough? There was never
Right.
enough, It always needed to be more because it had never been enough before.
Yep.
It's so twisted.
That's exactly what happened to me. I would set a goal. I would reach said goal, especially in my business. Like the goal was the very first, it was $5,000 a week. We would reach that goal, and I'd be like, well, there's nothing here. I guess I just didn't set it big enough. So then it was 10,000. Reach it. There's nothing here. I guess I just didn't set it big enough. So it went all the way up to $40,000 a week, and I made it. There's nothing here. So it's like I was just trying to fill a hole, and
That's it. And I feel like we all have our own version of that, right? Like I feel like every human, that might be a little, but we all have a hole. Like something's missing, or an unmet need, or there's something that creates some form of protection within us that then makes it really difficult and challenging to show up aligned, and like, because we don't even know who we are. Like I didn't know who I was, and I don't know. It's a messy process, but I find it all fascinating. And then, like, I mean, I have showed up messy. I've been sitting with this a little bit because I showed up messy at my last summit. I've shown up messy in coaching sessions. I've shown up messy, and I've just decided, like, I'm not going to fake it. I'm just going to be me. And if I'm messy, what I've learned over time is, because the question I was asking myself is this ethical? Is this okay? Should I be canceling these sessions? And what I've learned over time is, well, I've asked for feedback, and it's like, it's actually really helpful to see you messy, and you can still hold space and show up in your highest self to offer, help and support. So what I'm hearing in the now is it's okay. I'm not crossing lines of I'm too messy to show up and do what I do. But that's an interesting, is that my perfectionism? Is that the tucking into boxes? Is that what cultural says? Because like culturally, like you're not supposed to show up messy at work. You're supposed to drop in and be, polished and the expert. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to be real no matter what. But I've been messy. And it's been interesting.
Yeah, it's been my experience that when I go first and share something that is scary and vulnerable, other people, instead of rejecting me, go, "Oh, oh my
You
God, me
too?
too."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it gives
Yeah.
permission for everybody else then to let their guard down and be truly seen. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. The greatest gift we can give to another human being is to have them feel seen, heard, and understood. Hands down, best
It
thing we can
is.
do for any human being.
It's like, is that love to offer seen, heard, and
Absolutely.
understood? It's like, you just like, to me, it's like
Mhm.
A plus B plus C equals love, you know?
Absolutely. Even if we don't understand them, I think about giving love to like loving humanity, loving, strangers I've never
Mhm,
met, but it's sending them love. It's compassion. It's, I see
mhm.
you. I see
Yeah.
you. I acknowledge you. I hold you spiritually, not physically, because that could be interpreted as inappropriate or assault.
Hmm.
Well, and I just think about how hard it is, at least for me on my healing journey. I had walls all the way around me.
Oh,
So to take
absolutely.
those walls down and then actually be seen, heard, and understood, like I thought I wanted it, but then when I got it, it was super uncomfortable. I was like,
Hmm.
oh shit, do I really want this? Maybe those walls were better, And then it's like,
Hmm.
they're not. And I know they're not now, but the process of, I see it. I just described this the other day as like those walls that I built to protect myself. It's like I replace them with my light, and then they dissolve, but they become their own boundary. Then, like a healthy boundary of my light
Mm.
and myself, so that the bricks that didn't let anything through are gone, but they're
Hmm.
replaced with a boundary of light that is just me, and I trust that implicitly, and it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was saying before my internet suddenly just did its thing.
Welcome back.
It drew its own boundary.
Yeah.
Um, is that when the healing work happens, when it's happening, and I'm in the process, I don't know when I'll be done. I'll let you know. um, People do that. Part of it is scary and not without reason. The people that we've surrounded ourselves with for all these years, maybe not the people that are going to be aligned with our healed, self-actualized self.
Mhm.
Maybe it's that smaller in the box, scared, shielded, masked self. And that's really scary. There's always the fear of being alone, loneliness. What if I, let go of people and groups that don't serve me, that drain me, that underestimate me, that enforce all of my, like, reinforce and help me kind of undo all of this healing and evolution I've been doing. What if I can't find my new people? What if I'm just going to be alone? This is all I've ever known. I think is a big
Mhm.
fear. And what I have found to be true over and over is they do exist.
Mhm.
Like
Absolutely.
you won't be alone unless you choose to be. They do exist. Your people exist. It will be uncomfortable,
Mhm.
very.
And there's also a really fun paradox in that the fear that we hold becomes true because we hold it. And to like a specific example is if we go in thinking that we're not going to be accepted and we're very, very fearful of not being accepted, it makes it far more likely that we won't be accepted.
Mm. Absolutely, because we're living into our vision.
Yeah.
We subconsciously created a vision and a goal,
Mhm.
and then we live into it. We
And
didn't.
not to go to a really weird place, but energetically, people feel that. It
Yeah,
feels
absolutely.
prickly. It feels
Yeah.
super prickly. And so that energy piece is huge.
Hmm.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. What are you putting out there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way I've lived for a long time is there's been this idea of trying to think exactly how to put it, but it's like an idea of I'm doing me and fuck you if you can't handle it. So I've gone around with this air of fuck you. Well, guess what? That's exactly what people would feel. So they would come off as this, uh, I'm assuming, an arrogant ass, but the feedback that I've gotten is it's intimidating.
Right.
And I've realized through the work that I've done, it exists because I'm afraid to be abandoned. Therefore, I'm going to put these walls up, and only the people that earn their way through these walls are going to stay, right? Because I'm trying to make sure that people that aren't going to stay go away even faster instead of being vulnerable and opening up and being okay with some people are just going to go away, and that's okay.
And it's not personal.
Yeah.
Like we make it so fucking personal. It's like,
Uh-huh.
it's not personal. It's not about, like, your part is about you and their part is about them. And it's not about you for them, you know? Because ultimately it comes down to the reason it doesn't work is because of our wounds are like clashing,
Hmm.
like it doesn't, the vibrationally, it doesn't work.
Yeah. I used to get so freaking butthurt whenever this one friend in particular, he was a phenomenal, great time friend. Like if we were partying, if we were having fun, he was the guy you wanted there. But if I had to move or if I needed to do something where I needed help and I asked him for help, he would never show. And I would get so butthurt. And I lost him as a friend because I just couldn't be with that. So to me, that was it would rub in that abandonment wound. So I lost my good time friend because I couldn't I just couldn't accept the fact that he just wasn't going to show up whenever I needed him for other stuff. So it's kind of this idea that I was trying to go to the hardware store for milk with this particular friend. I was trying to get him to suit a need that he couldn't fill. But he was really great at the role of being the good time friend. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Lee, tell us about you, what you've been up to.
oh, I haven't done anything at all.
Nice.
I just sit here behind my desk and create podcasts and make music, and be full of shit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I say this most significant thing that I've been doing. I've already talked about it before. Is this leadership retreat that I'm doing? Because it has forced me to look at some things, some patterns that I've held for years and years that don't serve me, and to choose to not allow them to exist anymore. And the sloughing off, the trying to get rid of some of this old habit is fucking hard, to put it mildly. And it's the progress is it's like it comes in waves, right? There's these waves of, oh my God, what's going on? I'm so freaking far out of comfort. I'm so far out of feeling like I know what's going on. And then it'll pass. It's like, oh, I finally made it. And then it'll come back. But it's a slightly smaller wave. And then we do some more work and I get these big waves again, right? So it's just like, oh man, this work is tough. And this a lot of it's not even conscious. It's not like trying to learn math. It comes through in a way that you don't even know it's happening until all of a sudden you're having a conversation with somebody and you start to show up completely differently and leave the conversation and go, what the hell was that? Who the hell showed up to that? I showed up open and loving and vulnerable, and the connection that I made with another person was so much deeper because of it. And it's phenomenal to see the work in action without conscious thought. It's just becoming a part of me. It's moving from head. Like I have so many concepts and ideas that I've learned from reading thousands of books over the years, but all these concepts I've started to move from head to body to heart to nervous system to it's becoming a piece of me in a way that is phenomenal. So that's that. still doing the one-on-one coaching work, but what I've learned is that, well, according to feedback, I'm a really awesome one-on-one coach. Apparently, I'm even better at facilitation, teaching and facilitation. So I've started to move more into group programs. Like I've got my accountability group that meets every Tuesday, and I feel like that's improving significantly since I've been doing this work. I'm supposed to be hosting a Recess for Grown-Ups workshop here in a few weeks. My co-leader is in the leadership program with me, and we're going to put it on together. And it's going to be reconnecting to the inner child so we can learn how to play as an adult and how play can have us be more responsible for our world and not less. Because I know one of the fears that people have whenever they start to talk about, oh, if I allow my inner child to run the show, then I'm going to not complete my duties. I'm not going to be responsible. I'm not going to have my obligations be met. And it's actually not true. When we fully integrate that inner child, we we can get to a place of I'm really well off and I'm doing better at completing my duties. I'm being better at being responsible for what I need to be responsible for. And it moves from a place of, Ken said it best, I think. It was, I don't have to do these things. I'm not forced to. I'm not obligated to. I get to be responsible. Oh, man, that's a fucking wonderful place to be.
Play is, I like, I want to meet one person who's got something to say against that. Send them to us.
There
Who
are people
doesn't
who
need?
don't know how.
Right?
That's different. But to
Yeah.
say, we need it, that's a great place to start, right? To enter Lee's experience that he's running with his colleague. It's, I know I need to, I don't know how. Great. This is where you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when I first started running my mechanic shop, if you'd have told me that I would have performed better by playing, I'd have told you were fucking nuts.
Of course.
Knuckin' futs. All the above.
Knuckin' futs. Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive,
It does.
and it isn't. It's necessary. So
Mhm.
you're opening yourself up to possibilities that you wouldn't have seen if you were constricted and like checklist driven. Oh yeah, I love it. Recess for adults, so needed. So do you want to talk about what that experience would be like?
Oh, yeah, you buy some tickets and you'll get to find out.
I'm sitting here thinking, you know what I love about our jobs is that like Lee is running a workshop about play. And what I love about that is like there's intention there, there's a structure there. You had to plan to teach people how to play. But within all of that is play. I
Oh,
don't know. I love the duality and the paradox of that. Like this is what we do. We get to,
Mm-hmm. What's fun is
organize. That's just so
whenever I
cool.
start to take it too seriously and I'm like, I have to get this many people if I'm going to be able to cover my travel cost and my lodging costs and all that. And now all of a sudden I get really serious and I'm going to start to create all the marketing material. And it's like, oh, this has to be a certain way. And I got to make sure I tracked it. And it's like, wait a second. I'm not playing.
I'm not playing. I'm not playing. Yeah. And the energy is so different, right? Like that heavy, oh, I got to make sure this happens or A, B, and C versus like, what if we just play? There's something about play that is trusting the process. There is something about play that
Oh,
equals
yeah.
faith that is just fucking beautiful.
You need both. It's
Yeah.
so important to have both.
Yeah.
That's been another theme too, and a learning that's been reinforced over and over in my travels, but like for years. It's do the things, like do the prep, do the adult preparation work, and surrender. Like go in and embrace it, hug it, swim in it, gargle it, love it.
Mm.
Like just be there, be present, and know that there will be curveballs. There will be surprises. You will not have everything planned out. That's that you know.
Mm.
So just enjoy it and play with it, dance with it. Having done all of the adult work,
Mm.
right? Like you're doing the planning and booking the trips and doing the things. Great, absolutely. 100%. And when that moment of that high stakes moment comes in, play, surrender, faith. Oh, yummy.
It's like see it, hear it, understand it, love it.
And just to
Love it.
recreate that curiosity that makes you want to go poke a bug with a stick.
Or a flashlight or the sun in a magnifying glass. That's horrible.
Yeah. Just
Or
to
like prying open your parents' eyes to see if they're really sleeping. You're like, are you asleep? I'm
Uh-huh.
just wondering.
Yeah.
You know, I used to teach preschool, and
Yes.
one of my favorite things was finger painting with primary colors and asking
Love.
them, like, what do you think happens if you mix red and yellow? Not telling them, letting them live it and experience it. It's not like, oh, hey, if you mix red and yellow, it'll make orange. Like, that's not fun. But to give them the three colors and be like, well, here's some spaces on your tray. Play and see what happens when you mix
Oh.
these. Do they transform? It's so cool. It was like my favorite thing. And then they're like, what happens if I do all three? It's like, yeah, you get mud. But it's okay because they got to discover that, like how it changes based on what you put into it. It was just so
Ooh, ooh,
cool.
ooh, 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 ooh. I know this one. It's orange.
Yeah,
Spoiler.
it was just
It's
so
ruined it
cool.
for all of us. Yeah, it's so needed. And do you know how excited I would be if I went to an adult experience and primary colors were brought out and we were told that we're going to spend 20 minutes finger painting?
Yeah.
I mean, you just and I am not joking. I'm very serious about this play. You just gave me an idea.
Well, play and learning.
I'm figuring out an experience, and I was gonna do this. I was gonna do this at a bank when there was the big bank run happened a couple years ago, and we were going to have little candles, and you roast tiny little marshmallows. It was indoors, so we could only do so much. You're like in a giant indoor space. We were going to roast itty bitty tiny little marshmallows and make itty bitty little miniature s'mores.
That's adorable.
And each table was going to be a tent, and you have bunkmates, and it was like day camp. It was day camp for grown-ups, for like VCs, investors, and founders. Like your children, we're having like new terminology. This is what it's going to be. Finger painting is a brilliant idea, and I might bring that in. I'm bringing in the group
Anything
thing.
sensory is helpful.
Love.
You know,
Oh,
like a
but
plate full of salt and have them practice their letters by drawing in it. Like then you don't have to
Yes.
erase anything. You're not holding a pencil. You're just it's play, and then you shake it. It's everything about that is fun.
Play-Doh,
Nobody complained that they were practicing their letters.
right? Nobody
Nobody.
will
Yeah.
complain. Like, see how funny that is.
Yeah, we don't have a full timeline planned out, but there's definitely some talk about creative exercises, be it painting, drawing, making music, something like that, something open-ended that you start from nothing and then move into creating something. So
Yes.
what a wonderful experience. Another thing I didn't mention about what we're doing is it's a partners workshop. So partners being spouses, father, son, mother, daughter, co-workers, brother, sister, whatever. So the idea is to not only play, but to play with somebody that you love. Because one of the things I know to be true is my favorite memories always include somebody. That's just part of being human, is that we're so built to have deep, meaningful connection, that the best memories come when we have somebody that, especially if it's somebody that we really care about with us.
Oh, yeah. People need people. Always. So
You know,
100%, those memories. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's it's interesting. The group stuff. I'm working on an experience as well. I'm figuring that out, playing with it, not holding it too tightly, trying not to be a hypocrite,
I did
That's a
a
lot of
thing. I don't know if this is relevant or if it matters, but I thought it was a super fun experiment and it had a lot of layers to it. So maybe I'll share it. What do you think?
Maybe you'll share.
Right now, I'll tell you about it. We took a Bob Ross video and just
God, I
played
love
the
that man.
sound. We only played the sound,
Uh-huh.
gave everybody an
Mm.
easel and paints, and then had them follow along without watching him. And it took them out of their
Love.
comfort zone because it was a huge challenge, but there was no attachment to perfectionism. Everybody was doing the same thing, and it was magical. It was so much fun. And there were the artists in the room, kind of like, wait, I can't, hang on. And then there were the people who were not artists at all that just, I mean, it was so fun. And I don't know if everyone thought it was fun, but it was super fun to just like, because you just got to drop in and play, and like very quickly you realized you were not going to make this pretty, or at least not perfect, or it wasn't going to look like he when we revealed the video at the end. It was just
That's
so much
right.
fun. And I learned
I
that
love
from
that.
my boy's dad. They did it at a family function once as like a group activity, and I was like, I'm 100% using that in my choose yourself groups because it's just so unique.
Mm-hmm.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so simple and so human.
Yeah.
I love that. It's
Unexpected.
cross-generational.
Yeah.
I love like cross-cultural, cross-generational type of experiences like what we're talking about here. That it's not specific to, you didn't need to be born and to be part of a certain generation to get
Yeah.
it, to relate to
Yeah.
it. It's just like, oh, it's going to be imperfect and messy.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to laugh at yourself is so important. So that's
Bob
bringing
Ross.
that out. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, please. Bob Ross.
Yeah, I was saying that Bob Ross is an inspiration for me recently. Like, I've come to appreciate him in a new way after watching some of his videos. In that you can tell how much joy he got out of practicing his craft. Just the very act of doing what he did brought so much joy to him. One of the things that cracks me up every time he does it on almost every episode, is he'll dip his paintbrush to clean it, and then he'll smack it off on his easel. And every time he does, he'll giggle. It's fucking magical. It's almost
So funny.
I love him, and his kids are, continuing to honor him.
oh,
His legacy lives on. I don't know how the association's funny. You talk about Bob Ross, he's awesome. Mr. Rodgers is one that I go to, who I think about, and he brings me so much joy and inspiration, watching how he brought so much kindness and love into the world. I was watching a clip of him talking at a hearing for a government agency, I think, asking for money, asking for the show to be funded.
mm-hmm.
And when he spoke and the panel listening to him, I mean, I got goosebumps. They clearly were transformed listening. And they said something along the lines of like, stop, done. Yes, this is a yes. I got goosebumps, watching a clip, an abbreviated, it was like 45-second clip of his whole testimony, his whole explanation of the concept 40 years later, and I was moved. Everything inside him showed total, complete conviction, total authenticity. There was nothing else. You felt it through decades. You felt it through screens. You didn't even need to be there in person. It's inspiring.
Mr. Rodgers is also another one that suffered significantly from imposter syndrome. I don't remember the specifics, but it was like he didn't know why he was so highly regarded. And he would get very nervous whenever he'd write his shows. And Stephen King also spoke about that whenever I don't understand why people read my books. I was listening to a famous musician. So I don't understand why people come to my concerts. And these are people with followings that are millions of people. And it's phenomenal to think that even the highest performers suffer from who am I to be doing this? And they do it anyway.
Yes. Well, that's the turtle asshole. Who am I to asshole?
Mm.
I wonder if there's like an innate piece of us that goes there, if for no other reason than to keep our ego in check and to bring some humility into the scene. I don't know. I mean, I'm just, because I think if you go full blown, ego, I'm great at all the things without any humility, that's a problem. But also, if you are, selling out every concert and feeling like you don't deserve it, that's a whole different thing. So I don't know. I just in my head, I was like, humility is a beautiful thing. And then no self-worth is a whole different thing. And how do you keep your ego and the humility in check? I don't know. I'm just opening a whole door, but it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. I think on imposter syndrome, sometimes it's not a syndrome, it's self-awareness. You're not ready yet. You don't have it yet. It's not to say you never will. Maybe it's awareness that now's not the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is a syndrome, right? That fails to see that, that just to finish like that, it fails to see that nobody's fully ready. Like what is ready? Does it, re-examining that, right? Letting go of perfection, letting go of it needs to be like this and all those attachments. Well, it's not always a syndrome. And it's important to discern which one it is. Right? Lee, you have a thought?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't stop you from trying.
Yes.
That's such a key piece of it is how many people say, oh, I'm not good at that. Well, how long did you practice?
Right.
15 minutes. Wait, what? How are you going to get good at it if you don't practice and do it?
Right. Maybe it's not time today for the stage, but maybe you go in the studio. It's not, you're not going home and giving up.
Yeah, I've heard of many musicians that they'll start to perform and the audience will not accept them. They disappear for a little while, and then the next thing you know, they get back on stage and they're a whole new person. Like their skills, their ability to perform just skyrocket, and they call it woodshedding. So woodshedding is basically, it comes from an old term where you go into the woodshed and you just sit there alone and you practice whatever your craft is for hours and hours and days and weeks and months until you become good enough.
Woodshedding. I like that. And then a voice comes through. It says, well, don't stay in the woodshed too long.
Right.
Like, do come out of that woodshed.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love these shares today. I'm thinking about how, well, if we need to, like, you talk about the through lines and the common threads, or if what we've got is just perfect. What do you think?
We covered a lot today.
It really did. Feels like when we first started chatting without recording, that's how today felt to me. Like we just kind of free flowed and did our thing and caught up and loved on each other and and I don't know, it felt good.
Yeah, it was these sorts of conversations why we decided to start recording.
Because inevitably we have conversations, like that's just how they always played out. We would just go to all these different places and it was so fun. Not that I'm not saying that the way we're doing it, like planned or a little more planned or having guests on isn't delightful as well. I love that too. But this just felt like it reminded me of where we started. And I kind of love that.
Yeah, some of it is allowing that, I'm being recorded. I have to make sure I get it right, and allowing that to go away and just showing up like we just talked about earlier in the, in the podcast today, right?
That's right. Just showing up and being with what is and allowing it to be, and knowing that, we'll say something more perfectly some other time. Or it might be perfect as is. Whatever it is, it just emerges. I love that.
Doesn't matter. It's impossible, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Perfect is bullshit.
It is.
Well, I have no doubt that our people take plenty from this one. So, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck.
Now I'm thinking about Bob Ross's happy little mistake
Mhm.
that he always talks about.
Happy
It's a happy little-
accidents.
Yeah, it's a happy little mistake. It's like it's all good.
Mhm. Perfect.
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
And with
Thank
that,
you.
farewell.
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 Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to That's a Great Point with Elena Doran, Michelle Albers, and Lee Smart. To find out more about how we can serve you, check out our links in the show description. Thanks for playing along.